The following is a slightly historical series on the Romance of the Three Kingdoms era of China's history. Because this is based off of a video game, and myself playing it, there will be a lot of incorrect information that we will correct using the help of Wikipedia. For those of you who want to learn more about Dynasty Warriors, or the Romance of the Three Kingdoms era, I suggest reading the book. Please enjoy the following presentation.
But it is because we are near the end of the line right now. I wanted this to be a long-going series where I only play like one or two characters at a time, but the viewership overall for it has just been terrible, so I just wanted to accelerate it and get it over with. Because I don't want to cancel it in the middle, you know? So that's why I wanted to finish it by the end of this week. But anyway, we will begin today with Cao Cao, the warlord of Wei himself. Known as an able minister in times of peace and a hero in times of chaos, his ambitions have led him on a quest to conquer the land. And I will tell you, he has by far the largest Wikipedia page of anyone we have covered thus far. Even bigger than like Sun Jian and Sun Quan. Cao Cao. His ancestral home was in Qiao County, which is in present-day Bozhou, Arhui. He was purportedly a descendant of Cao Shen, a statesman of the early Western Han Dynasty, which was in 206 BC. His father, Cao Song, served as the Grand Commandant during the reign of Emperor Ling, which was the year 168 to 169. Buying his way into high government office for an exorbitant sum and serving less than half of a year. Cao Song was a foster son of Cao Tang, a eunuch who served as the central regular attendant and the Empress's chamberlain under Emperor Huan, which was the emperor before Emperor Ling, and held the peerage of Marquis of Fei Village. In his youth, Cao Cao was known to be perceptive and manipulative. He liked to hunt, idle, roam about freely, and play vigilante, so he was not as highly regarded as compared to his more studious peers. From time to time, Cao Cao was 15. From the time Cao Cao was 15 until he turned 30, widespread epidemic diseases ravaged China on an average of 1 out of every 3 years. Despite Cao Cao's loafing ways and unimpressive behavior, there were two persons, Chao Zhuan and He Yang, who recognized his potential and extraordinary talents. Upon visiting the famous commentator and character evaluator Yuan Shao, Cao Cao was assessed as being a treacherous villain in times of peace and a hero in times of chaos. Another source recorded that Yuan Shao told Cao Cao, "You will be capable minister in times of peace, and a Jian Zhong in times of chaos." As the commandant of North District in Luoyang, that is where Cao Cao started his career. He was a civil service cadet after he was nominated as a Xiaolian around the age of 19. He was later appointed as the commandant of the North District of the imperial capital Luoyang and put in charge of maintaining security in that area. Later that year, he was transferred to the position of a prefect of Dunqiu County. This represented a horizontal career move to a position of greater authority in a smaller jurisdiction with less political importance. Cao Cao's cousin married Song Qi, a relative of Empress Song. In 178, when Emperor Ling deposed Empress Song in the aftermath of a political scandal, the Empress's family and relatives got into trouble as well. Because of his relationship with Song Qi, Cao Cao was implicated in the scandal and dismissed from his office. However, he was pardoned later and recalled to Luoyang to serve as a consultant under the Minister of the Household because of his expertise in history. The general Dou Wu and senior minister Chen Fan plotted to get rid of the 10 attendants, a eunuch faction. Their plan failed, and they lost their lives. Cao Cao wrote a memorial to Emperor Ling to defend Dou Wu and Chen Fan and point out that the imperial court was full of corrupt officials and that advice from the loyal officials had been ignored. Emperor Ling did not listen to him. Emperor Ling later issued a decree ordering the 3 ducal ministers to report and dismiss commandery and county officials who performed badly in office. However, the ministers protected the underperforming officials and accepted bribes, resulting in a situation where evildoers were not punished while the poor and weak were oppressed. Cao Cao felt frustrated when he saw this. When natural disasters occurred, Cao Cao was summoned to the imperial court to discuss the problems in the administration. During this time, he wrote another memorial to Emperor Ling, accusing the three ducal ministers of siding with the nobles and elites, helping them to cover up their misdeeds. Emperor Ling was stunned after hearing the memorial. He admonished the ministers for their conduct, reinstated the officials who had been wrongly dismissed, and appointed them as consultants. However, corruption worsened over time and became rampant throughout all levels of government. Cao Cao stopped speaking up when he realized that his efforts to restore order were futile. That is when the Yellow Turban Rebellion broke out.
I am Cao Cao. As of now, the people across the land are suffering, and the glory of the Han Imperial Court has faded. The land is doomed to chaos. The world of chaos is like a living hell. However, beyond the chaos lies a new world. I must follow my ambitions and create a new land of my own design. First, I must join the campaign against the Yellow Turbans who are plaguing the land. Let us go. This is to be the first step on my path to conquest.
In 184, when the Yellow Turban Rebellion broke out, the Han central government commissioned Cao Cao as a cavalry commandant and ordered him to lead imperial forces to attack the rebels in Yingchuan Commandery. He was later appointed as Chancellor of Jian State, a principality in Qing, which had over 10 counties under its jurisdiction. Many senior officials in Jian State had connections with the nobles and engaged in corrupt practices, so Cao Cao proposed to the imperial court to dismiss about 80% of them. As Cao Cao had a reputation for being a strict law enforcer, when news of his arrival reached these corrupt officials, they were so fearful that they fled to nearby commanderies. Cao Cao governed Jian State well and maintained peace in the area. In the early days of the Western Han, nearly 400 years previously, Liu Zhang, Prince of Chengyang State, felt that he had made great contributions to the Han Empire, so he built temples in his principality for the people to worship him. Many other commanderies in Qing also followed this practice. In Jian State alone, there were over 600 such temples. Wealthy merchants could even borrow the servants and personal carriages of officials for their own leisure activities. This resulted in greater inequality between the rich and poor. The senior officials did not dare to interfere. When Cao Cao assumed his office in Jian State, he destroyed all of the temples and banned such idolatrous practices. He upheld the laws sternly and eliminated unorthodox customs and cult-like activities.
I am He Jin. I will be commanding the army for the battle against the Yellow Turbans. Those of you who have come to fight on behalf of the Han, the gratitude of your emperor is with you. We are now heading to Ji to take out Zhang Xiao, the leader of the Yellow Turbans, who is holed up in their main base. It is said that Zhang Xiao and his brothers can control the elements. Therefore, if we take his brothers out, things should be a little easier. All right, prepare to go to battle for the glory of the Han!
So the chaos of the land has spread this far.
A world at war. And now, our time has come!
Let's go. Once we bring an end to the chaos, this land will be ours.
Zhang Jiao has unexpectedly become the leader of the times. So, Cao Cao, what role do you envision will be yours to play in this time of chaos?
Who are you?
I am known as Zuo Qi, and I am still waiting to hear your answer.
The bandit leader, Zhang Jiao, has been defeated, along with his lies. Without him, the Yellow Turbans are finished. As commander, I would like to thank you all for your service. I want all of you to return to your homes and continue to loyally serve the Han. We must ensure that the land never again sees such chaos.
So after the Yellow Turban Rebellion and being the let me restart that. So after the Yellow Turban Rebellion and as acting as the Chancellor of Jian, Cao Cao was reassigned to the administrator of Dong Commandery, but he declined the appointment on the grounds of poor health and resigned and went home. The Book of Wei recorded that around that time, corruption had deteriorated to the point where influential officials dominated the imperial court and blatantly abused their powers. Cao Cao was unable to stop them and feared that he might bring trouble to his family because he had been interfering with their activities, so he requested to serve in the Imperial Guards. His request was rejected and he was appointed as a consultant instead. He then claimed that he was ill and resigned and went home. He built a house outside of the city and lived there, spending his time reading in spring and summer and going on hunting excursions in autumn and winter. Wang Fan, the inspector of Ji province, along with Zhu You, Zhou Jing, and others, plotted to overthrow Emperor Ling and replace him with the Marquis of Hefei. They contacted Cao Cao and asked him to join, but he refused. Wang Fan's plan ultimately failed. Cao Cao was appointed as a colonel who arranges the army and summoned back to Luoyang to serve in the army of the Western Garden when Bian Zhang, Han Sui, and others started a rebellion in Liang province. But I doubt we're actually gonna do that fight again, like we did with Pang De and Dong Zhuo.
Ah, there you are, Cao Cao. It's been a while, hasn't it? I've heard about your exploits during the Yellow Turban Rebellion. I see you made quite a name for yourself while I wasn't around. Oh well, we are here now to oust the tyrant Dong Zhuo. I'm sure you will perform even better, with I, the great Yuan Shao, leading the attack.
Emperor Ling died in 189 and was succeeded by his son Liu Bian, who is historically known as Emperor Shao. As Emperor Shao was still young, his mother, Empress Dowager He, and maternal uncle He Jin ruled as regents on his behalf. He Jin plotted with Yuan Shao and others to eliminate the eunuch faction and shared this plan with his sister. When the Empress Dowager was reluctant to kill the eunuchs, He Jin thought of summoning generals stationed outside Luoyang to lead their troops into the imperial capital to put pressure on the Empress Dowager. Cao Cao strongly objected to He Jin's idea, as he believed that the best way to deal with the eunuchs was to eliminate their leaders. He also argued that summoning external forces into Luoyang would only increase the risk of their plan being leaked. He Jin, the highest-ranking officer in the government, understandably ignored him. As Cao Cao predicted, the eunuchs got wind of He Jin's plot and assassinated him before the generals and their troops arrived. Yuan Shao and He Jin's followers led their forces to storm the imperial palace and slaughter the eunuchs in revenge. Emperor Shao and his younger half-brother Liu Jie escaped during the chaos. They were eventually found and brought back to the palace by Dong Zhuo, who took advantage of the power vacuum to seize control of the central government. Later that year, Dong Zhuo deposed Emperor Shao and replaced him with Liu Jie, who was historically known as Emperor Jian. The deposed Emperor Shao became the Prince of Hong Nong. Dong Zhuo wanted to appoint Cao Cao as a colonel of valiant cavalry and recruit him as an advisor. However, Cao Cao adopted a fake identity, escaped from Luoyang, and returned to his home in Chenliu Commandery. He had two encounters along the way. The first was with the family of Liu Boshe, an old acquaintance. The second incident occurred when he passed by Zhongmu County, where a village chief suspected that he was a fugitive and arrested him. However, another official recognized Cao Cao and believed he could act as a positive influence, so he released Cao Cao. After that, Dong Zhuo murdered the Prince of Hangnong and Empress Dowager. He later, when Cao... Oh, it's Dowager He, and I just see a capitalized he next to the word later, so I was gonna read it as he later did blah blah blah, you know, but it was a murdered Prince of Hangnong and Empress Dowager He later. When Cao Cao returned to Chenliu Commandery, he spent his family fortune on raising an army to eliminate Dong Zhuo. In the winter of 189, Cao Cao assembled his forces in Jiwu County and declared war on Dong Zhuo. In early 190, several regional officials and warlords formed a coalition army numbering some tens of thousands and launched a punitive campaign against Dong Zhuo. They declared that their mission was to free Emperor Jian and the central government from Dong Zhuo's control. Yuan Shao was elected as the coalition chief, while Cao Cao served as acting general of uplifting martial might. The coalition scored some initial victories and reached Luoyang within months. Dong Zhuo, alarmed by his losses, ordered his troops to forcefully relocate Luoyang's residents to Chang'an and burn down the capital, leaving behind nothing for the coalition. While Dong Zhuo was retreating to Chang'an, Cao Cao led his own army to pursue the enemy, but was defeated by Zhu Rong, a general under Dong Zhuo, at the Battle of Xingyang. This was the first military action that Cao Cao commanded, and he barely escaped alive, with help from his cousin Cao Hong. He returned to the coalition base in Sunzhao County, and he was disgusted to see that the other coalition members were making merry instead of thinking how to make progress. He presented his plan on how to continue the war against Dong Zhuo and chided them for their lackluster attitudes towards their initial goals. They ignored him. As Cao Cao had few troops left with him after the Battle of Xingyang, he traveled to Yang province with Zhao Hodun to recruit soldiers. Chen Wen, the inspector of Yang province, and Zhou Jin, the administrator of Danyang Commandery, gave him over 4,000 troops. On the way back, when they passed by Longkang County, many soldiers started a mutiny and set fire to Cao Cao's tent at night, but he was able to escape. When Cao Cao reached Ji and Jiangping counties later, he managed to regroup over 1,000 soldiers and lead them to garrison at Han'ei Commandery. Yuan Shao and Han Hu thought of installing Liu Yu, the governor of You province, on the throne to replace Emperor Jian. When they sought Cao Cao's opinion, Cao Cao refused to support them and reaffirmed his allegiance to Emperor Jian. Yuan Shao's plan turned out to be unsuccessful because Liu Yu himself did not want to be emperor.
Our target is Dong Zhuo. However, his officer Lu Bu will make a tough stand at the Hulao Gate. We must first break through the gate and then get Dong Zhuo. This villain pretends to serve the Emperor, but only serves himself. He shall pay with his life. But everybody follow me, and we shall reclaim the capital. The Han must be returned to its former glory.
Dong Zhuo lies ahead. Cao Cao, you would do well to commit his image firmly in your mind. If you too stray from the path of righteousness, then you shall suffer the same ugly defeat.
How dare you compare one such as me to that wretched pig? My ambitions are not for personal gain. Wait, and you shall see.
We have defeated the rebel leader, Dong Zhuo. I would like to thank each member of the Allied forces that participated in this struggle. As your leader, I am proud of you all.
Yuan Shao once invited Cao Cao to sit beside him and showed him a jade seal, indicating his imperial ambition, and a tacit request for Cao Cao's support. Finding this despicable, Cao Cao laughed at him.
Now that Dong Zhuo is gone, it is time to disperse the Allied forces. Our However, those who fought under the Yuan banner shall never forget the privilege that was bestowed upon them.
There is also a story in the Romance of the Three Kingdoms where Cao Cao attempts to assassinate Dong Zhuo by presenting him a precious sword. Wang Yun lends Cao Cao his 7-gem sword after the latter pledges to assassinate Dong Zhuo. Cao Cao meets Dong Zhuo in his bedroom the following day and attempts to kill him with the sword when he faces away. However, Dong Zhuo sees Cao Cao drawing his sword through a reflection in a mirror and immediately turns back. Cao Cao senses trouble, so he quickly kneels down and pretends to present the sword to Dong Zhuo as a gift. At the same time, Lu Bu has returned after Dong Zhuo sent him to choose a new horse for Cao Cao. Cao Cao then lies that he wanted to test ride the new horse and uses the opportunity to escape. And that is alongside what I mentioned earlier, where Cao Cao, or where Dong Zhuo wanted to appoint Cao Cao as a cavalry colonel, and Cao Cao refused. So he disguised himself and escaped from the city. There is no mention of Cao Cao actually attempting to assassinate.
The tyrant Dong Zhuo has been defeated, but now his former vassal Lu Bu is on the rampage. Liu Bei has asked me to aid him, so I agreed to send troops to Xiapi.
We're going to skip a little bit ahead in time again. There are just a couple of paragraphs here, but between 191 and 192, Yuan Shao appointed Cao Cao the administrator of Dong Commandery, and this position allowed him to exact taxes and conscript soldiers. His first territorial command in that respect marks the beginning of his career as a warlord. During this time, he defeated the Heishan bandits who were causing trouble in the region, and some southern Xiongnu forces led by Yu Fulo in Neihuang County. After that, remnants of the Yellow Turbans swarmed into Jian province, and Cao Cao would pacify that rebellion. There was also a conflict between Yuan Shao and Yuan Shu. Cao Cao would defeat Yuan Shu at the Battle of Fengqiu and return to Dingtao County by summer. Then there was also another conflict with Tao Qian. Between 193 and 194, Cao Cao came into conflict with Tao Qian, the governor of Zhu, and attacked Zhu province 3 times. The first attack took place in autumn of 193 when Cao Cao attacked after the latter supported Cui Zhuan, who had committed treason by declaring himself the emperor. The second and third invasions were triggered by the murder of Cao Cao's father, Cao Song, in Zhu province, which occurred when Cao Song was en route to Qiao County after his retirement. Although Cao Qian's culpability in the murder was questionable, Cao Cao nonetheless held him responsible. During the invasions, Cao Cao conquered several territories in Zhu and massacred thousands of civilians. Cao Cao's assault on Zhu province was so brutal that after one massacre, the corpses of his victims stopped up the nearby Xi River. His army tore down villages in its wake, ensuring refugees could not return, and ate all of the chickens and dogs. Cao Cao only turned back when he received news that his base in Yan had fallen to Lu Bu.
In order to force our way into the castle at Xiapi, we must break through either the west or south gates. However, we cannot forget about the bases surrounding the castle. I'm curious to see what Guo Jia has planned. He should be able to come up with something interesting. I shall follow whatever he proposes.
In 194, Cao Cao's subordinates Zhang Miao, Chen Gong, and others rebelled against him in Yan province and defected to the rival warlord Lu Bu. Many commanderies and counties in Yan responded to Lu Bu's call and defected to his side, except for a few. Cao Cao aborted his campaign in Zhu and returned to attack Lu Bu. In one battle at Puyang County, he fell into an ambush and suffered some burns, but managed to survive and escape. Cao Cao and Lu Bu were locked in a stalemate at Puyang County for over 100 days until Lu Bu left when his supplies ran out due to natural disasters such as locust plagues and droughts. Grain supplies were so limited that Cao Cao strongly considered an offer to serve under Yuan Shao, but was persuaded against it and ceased recruitment instead. He sent his army to collect food, but his numerically inferior forces were unable to turn back an attack by Lu Bu by using deceptive tactics. From 194 to 195, Cao Cao attacked in the territories in Yan province and managed to retake them from Lu Bu. Lu Bu fled east to Zhou and took refuge under Liu Bei, who had succeeded Xiao Qian as the governor of Zhou earlier in 194. In winter of 195, the central government officially designated Cao Cao as the governor of Yan. In 196, Lu Bu turned against his host, seized control of Zhou from Liu Bei, but still allowed Liu Bei to remain in Xiaopei. Although he agreed to an alliance with Yuan Shao earlier, he broke his promise and severed ties with Yuan Shao when the latter declared himself emperor in 197. Throughout 197, Lu Bu joined Cao Cao and others in a campaign against Yuan Shao, who had become public enemy because of his treasonous actions. However, in 198, Lu Bu sided with Yuan Shao again and attacked Liu Bei, who lost and fled to join Cao Cao. In the winter of 198, Cao Cao and Liu Bei combined forces to attack Lu Bu and defeated him at the Battle of Xiapi. Lu Bu was captured and executed after his defeat.
This is like two animals feeding on one another. What will you gain from attacking Lu Bu?
Lu Bu is an animal with no sense of direction or loyalty. He must be eliminated. How dare you compare me to him? Ask me questions that are worth my time.
Very well then. What is it that you will do to lead this world out of the chaos?
And like I mentioned in the Lu Bu episode, excuse me. And like I mentioned in the Lu Bu episode, that alliance where Lu Bu asked for aid from Yuan Shao was denied.
We'd better back off.
It was denied because Yuan Shao wanted to marry Lu Bu's daughter, and Lu Bu said no.
We'll flush them out.
After Lu Bu said no, he regretted that decision because he desperately needed help, and when attempting to flee the siege on Xiapi, he was not able to escape with his daughter in tow in order to, secure reinforcements from Yuan Shao.
Let me go, you whelps! You can't kill me! You're nothing! Lu Bu, you are bringing shame to your honor. Even defeated generals have pride. You must be strong to the very end. Rest in peace, Lu Bu. It appears that my leadership and military might have surpassed even yours. Even so, it was a most difficult battle. With the death of Lu Bu, will the land finally know peace? No. The tides of time can be stopped by no man. No, there will surely be many more battles to come.
After this, Emperor Jian had been held hostage in Chang'an by Li Jue, Guo Si, and other former followers of Dong Zhuo. When internal conflict broke out between them, Emperor Jian escaped and returned to the ruins of Luoyang. In Luoyang, Emperor Jian came under the protection of Dong Cheng, a former bandit, Yang Feng, and other petty strongmen who had been characterized as ragtag gangsters. The emperor sought refuge under Yuan Shao, but was rebuffed. In February or March of 196, acting on the advice of Cheng Yu, Cao Cao sent Cao Hong west to fetch the emperor, but was blocked by Dong Cheng and Yuan Shu's subordinate Chang Nu. Between March and April of 196, Cao Cao defeated more Yellow Turban remnants in Runan and Yingchuan commanderies and was appointed general who establishes virtue. In July or August of 196, Cao Cao was promoted to general who garrisons in the east and enfeoffed as the Marquis of Fei Village, the peerage previously held by his adoptive grandfather, Cao Tong. Sometime between August and September of 196, Cao Cao led his forces to the ruins of Luoyang and received Emperor Jian. The emperor granted Cao Cao a ceremonial axe and appointed him manager of the affairs of the imperial secretariat and colonel director of retainers. As Luoyang was in bad shape, Dong Zhao and others advised Cao Cao to move the imperial capital to Zhu. So, in October or early November of 196, Cao Cao and his forces escorted Emperor Jian to Zhuchang, which became the new imperial capital. Cao Cao had himself appointed general-in-chief and promoted from a village marquis to a county marquis under the title Marquis of Wuping, later characterized as 10,000 households. Since Dong Zhuo moved the capital from Luoyang to Chang'an in 190, the imperial court had been in a state of disorder. However, after Cao Cao received Emperor Jian and established the new imperial city in Zhuchang, order was restored. Although Cao Cao did have the emperor's confidant Zhao Yan killed for secretively keeping the emperor updated on great affairs of the state. Cao Cao sent an imperial decree to Yuan Shao in Emperor Jian's name to appoint him as Grand Commandant. Yuan Shao was unhappy because Grand Commandant ranked below Cao Cao's position, General-in-Chief, so he rejected the appointment. When Cao Cao heard about it, he gave up his position as General-in-Chief and offered it to Yuan Shao. Emperor Jian reappointed Cao Cao as Minister of Works and Acting General of Chariots and Cavalry. Struck by the difficulties Yuan Shao and Yuan Shu had faced in supplying their armies, as well as his own struggles with food supply, Cao Cao followed Zhao Ji and Han Hao's suggestion to implement the Tunqian system of agriculture to produce a sustainable supply of grain for his growing army. The Tunqian agricultural colonies gave Cao Cao an advantage over his adversaries, allowing him to resettle internally displaced refugees, redevelop abandoned arable lands, shorten his supply lines, reduce the amount of defensive assets tasked to defend farms and granaries, and increase the area and productivity of lands held directly by the state. After that, there was a battle with Zhangzhou and another campaign against Yuan Shu when Yuan Shu declared himself emperor. By 199, some months after Lu Bu's defeat at the Battle of Xiapi, Yuan Shu, who was already in dire straits, wanted to abandon his lands in the Huainan region and head north to join Yuan Shao. Cao Cao sent Liu Bei and Zhu Ling to lead their forces to intercept and block Yuan Shu in Zhu. Yuan Shu died of illness while under siege by Liu Bei and Zhu Ling.
Now that Dong Zhuo and Lu Bu have been taken care of, the threat to the land has been diminished. Now I shall begin on my path to conquest over the land. We shall advance our army to Guan Yu to force a showdown with Yuan Shao. Even though the enemy army is large, Yuan Shao is an inept commander. They will be no match for us.
Like I've mentioned multiple times, the entire Battle of Guan Yu represents the whole war with Yuan Shao. While Cao Cao was waging wars throughout central China in the 190s, Yuan Shao defeated his rival Gongsun Zan at the Battle of Yijing, after which he controlled 4 provinces in northern China and gained command of thousands of troops. A power struggle between Cao Cao and Yuan Shao became inevitable by early 199. In the autumn, Cao Cao dispatched troops to Liang County and sent Zhang Ba and others to capture some territories in Qing, while leaving Yu Jin to guard the southern bank of the Yellow River. In winter, he mobilized his forces and deployed them at Guan Yu. There was also a campaign against Liu Bei in Zhu province, but I'm going to skip over that just a little bit. From early to mid-200, the forces of Cao Cao and Yuan Shao clashed in 2 separate engagements at Bo Ma and Yan Ford. At Bo Ma, Yuan Shao sent Go Tu, Chun Yu Qiong, and Yan Liang to besiege Cao Cao's general Liu Yan, but the siege was lifted after about 2 months when Cao Cao personally led an army to relieve Liu Yan. Guan Yu slew Yan Liang in the midst of battle. While Cao Cao and his troops were evacuating Bo Ma's residence, Yuan Shao's forces, led by Wen Chou and Liu Bei, caught up with them at Yan Ford, but were defeated and Wen Chou was killed in battle, which is represented here when we see Guan Yu on the eastern side of the map killing a bunch of dudes over there, basically. Around this time, Guan Yu left Cao Cao and returned to Liu Bei, which we will see a cutscene later on in the middle of the battle. In late 200, Yuan Shao led his forces to attack Cao Cao at Guan Yu. Both sides were locked in a stalemate for months, and Cao Cao's supplies were gradually running out, and his men were growing weary. During this time, Yuan Shao sent Liu Bei to contact a rebel chief, Liu Pi, in Runan Commandery, and join Liu Pi in making a sneak attack on Cao Cao's base in Zhuchang while Cao Cao was away at Guan Yu. However, Liu Bei and Liu Pi were defeated and driven back by Cao Cao's general, Cao Ren. During this time, Sun Ce, a warlord based in Jiangdong, also contemplating attacking Zhuchang and taking Emperor Jian hostage. However, he was assassinated before he could execute this plan, which, if we remember from the Sun Ce episode, might not have actually been a thing in his head. Was just some, historians arguing, was he actually gonna go to Zhuchang? Was he not gonna go to Zhuchang? He had other things on his mind. He had other lands around him on his plate that were in rebellion, so very likely that he wasn't planning on doing that, but he was assassinated anyway. In the winter of 200, following the advice of Zhu You, a defector from Yuan Shao's side, Cao Cao left Cao Hong behind to defend the main camp at Guan Yu, while he personally led 5,000 riders to raid Yuan Shao's supply depot at Wu Chao, which was guarded by Chun Yu Qiong. That is something that we do in this battle, and I think I'll leave it there.
I shall go join the battle at Bai Ma. Once we are finished there, I will go teach that impudent Yuan Shao just how worthless he is. Quite impressive, Shahou-dun. It almost looked like you wanted to kill Guan Yu.
So, will we be leaving soon, Cao Cao?
Yes. We will go to Guan Yu and attack Yuan Shao. Guan Yu, this includes you as well.
As you wish.
Cao Cao, how dare you stand before me? Such insolence! I, the Honorable Yuan Shao, shall bring justice to these traitors!
I fail to see what's so honorable about having everything handed to you at birth. You rode on the backs of your loyal retainers. You shall be leaving now.
It certainly is noisy. What is happening?
The enemy has attacked Wu Chao. It's in flames.
What's that? Cao Cao, you pretentious fool!
Yuan Shao is dead. He was concerned only with pride and ignored the opinions of his advisors. Whereas we believed in ability, valued good counsel. There's still bigger threats to our power out there than Yuan Shao. We must prepare for the inevitable battles ahead and deal with them when they come. After winning the Battle of Guan Yu, I mobilized my troops to attack Liu Bei. However, things did not turn out as I had hoped. Liu Bei went to Jianling and formed an alliance with Sun Quan. Together they obliterated my fleet at Chibi. The destruction I witnessed will forever be etched in my mind. Must take action to recover my losses. I have to survive this battle and drive back Sun Quan and Liu Bei so that I may return to destroy them later.
The flames! Somebody stop the flames!
My lord, you must escape.
These blasted flames, even they do not burn like the fire of my ambition!
Oh, I was muted the whole time. Anyway, the historical side the Battle of Chirbi, which apparently I was muted for when I was talking about the history section of it. But we've covered that battle so many times over and over again that I feel like, you know, if this is your first time watching this series, then, you know, definitely go back and watch the rest of it. But, you know, for those who are watching the first time or might not have remembered, basically the long short of it is, Cao Cao went south because Sun Quan went north, applied some pressure, and Sun Quan allied with Liu Bei. They, you know, fought together. Cao Cao, who kept on going south, basically ran out of supplies, was running low on morale. All of his men were upset and getting sick. A plague broke out in his camp, and then on top of that, he got really bad advice from the likes of Pang Tong. Pang Tong telling him to put the ships, or chain the ships together. That way, the fire attack would work, because when the ships are all chained together, there's no way to separate them. Huang Gai feigned surrender and set his ship on fire, and it was just one of the most crushing defeats possible of in Cao Cao's history. He would go on to survive it, and that is why we are doing the escape from Chibi instead of the you know, the actual battle of Chibi, which I really appreciate about the game.
Right, Lord Cao Cao?
Is this where my struggle finally ends? Guan Yu, was my fate decided from the very moment that you left me?
Go. It is still not possible for me to forget my debt to you. But that debt ends here. The next time you oppose my lord, I will kill you. Remember that, Lord Cao Cao.
Cao Cao expressed joy after he and his surviving men managed to get out of the trail safely, albeit suffering many losses.
We barely managed to escape. This battle all came about because of my carelessness. We should be happy that we escaped with our lives. We almost didn't.
His generals were puzzled as to why he was happy, so they asked him. Cao Cao remarked, "Liu Bei, my friend, doesn't think fast enough. If he had set fire earlier, we wouldn't have been able to get out alive." Liu Bei did think of setting fire, but it was too late, as Cao Cao had already escaped.
We shall have our vengeance for this defeat. We must quickly build up our military strength and crush Liu Bei and Sun Quan. They shall pay for incurring my wrath.
In the spring of 209, Cao Cao reached Qiao County, where he ordered small boats to be built and staged a naval drill. In autumn, he sailed along the Huai River to garrison at Hefei, where he issued an order for local officials to provide relief to the families of soldiers who had died in battle. He then established an administration in Yang Province and started the Tunqian system in Chui. He returned to Qiao County in the winter. In the winter of 210, Cao Cao had a bronze sparrow platform constructed at Ye. In January 211, Cao Cao wrote a long memorial to the throne as well as to a more general audience, including his detractors, declining to accept 3 counties awarded to him by Emperor Jian to be a part of his marquis state, in which he also wrote at length about his life and ambitions. In the spring of 211, Emperor Jian appointed Cao Cao's son, Cao Pi, as general of the household for all purposes. Cao Pi had his own office and served as an assistant to his father, the imperial chancellor. At the time, in accordance with Cao Cao's wishes in the essay he wrote earlier, Emperor Jian reduced the number of taxable households in Cao Cao's marquis state by 5,000 and granted 3 counties to 3 of Cao Cao's sons, Cao Ji, Cao Zhu, and Cao Lin, who were enfeoffed as marquis. Sometime in early 211, Shang Yao from Taiyuan Commandery started a rebellion. Cao Cao sent Zhao Hoyuan and Zhu Huang to lead an army to suppress the revolt, and they achieved success. After that would come the Battle of Tong Pass.
I managed to escape from Chibi, but Liu Bei became more powerful by acquiring both land and support from his people. Thus, a new hero was born. However, our immediate concern is the meddlesome Sun family. They intend to attack Hefei while we are busy with Liu Bei. Our defenses there are thin. We don't strengthen them, and they will fall for sure.
It is possible because, again, this is a video game. We are going to be skipping around a little bit. The Battle of Xiaoyao Ford was fought in 214-215, the Battle of Hefei here, which is after the Battle of Tong Pass, which, again, we've covered at length through a couple of other people, so I'll just summarize it as basically Cao Cao wanted more land, so he went westward. Ma Chao had a coalition of people against him, and that coalition just completely disbanded, fell apart, and Cao Cao would eventually command all of the northwestern parts of China as well. Cao Cao personally led a campaign against the rebels and engaged them in battle in the areas around Tong Pass and the banks of the Wei River. First engagement took place when Cao Cao's forces were crossing the Wei River into the north bank, which they suddenly came under attack by Ma Chao. Cao Cao and his forces headed back to the south bank, where they constructed sand walls to keep the enemy at bay. And then, again, we've covered this in Ma Chao's story, Pang De's story, Zhao Hoyuan, Zhang He. Tong Pass, it was a big battle. Cao Cao was indeed there. And the aftermath of that battle, Cao Cao returned to Ye in late 211 after receiving the surrender of one of the remaining warlords, Yang Qiu. He left Zhao Hoyuan behind to defend Chang'an. Ma Chao, who had the support of Qiang, Di, and other tribal peoples, continued to ravage Guangzhong and attack Cao Cao's territories. In 213, he killed Wei Kang, the inspector of Liang, seized control of the province, and forced Wei Kang's subordinates to submit to him. In late 213, Zhao Chu, Yin Fang, and several other officials in Liang province rebelled against Ma Chao and drove him out of Guangzhong, with aid from Zhang Lu. Ma Chao returned and struck back at his enemies, but was defeated when Zhao Hoyuan led reinforcements from Chang'an to assist Zhao Chu and his allies. Zhao Hoyuan later attacked the remnants of the Guanji coalition, including Han Sui and the various tribes in western China, forcing them to surrender. After that were multiple wars with Sun Quan, which Cao Cao was there for some of them, was not there for others. Specifically, the Battle of Hefei that we're fighting here is the Battle of Xiaoyao Ford, which Cao Cao was not at. But this could also represent the Battle of Ruzhou that happened twice in 213 and 217, and so those were battles that Cao Cao did indeed lead his armies at himself. So, again, this is a combination of many battles being put together. Cao Cao was not actually at the battle, represented by Hefei, but the overarching battles in this area at this time, Cao Cao was indeed there. In early 213, Cao Cao led an army to attack Sun Quan at Ruzhou. During the battle, Cao Cao's forces destroyed Sun Quan's camp on the west bank of the Yangtze and captured Gongsun Yan, an area commander under Sun Quan. However, overall, both sides did not make any gains. In mid-214, Cao Cao launched another campaign against Sun Quan against the advice of Fu Gan, one of his advisors. Just like in the previous campaign, he didn't make any significant gains. The following year, Sun Quan led his forces to attack Hefei, which is this battle. Cao Cao's generals, Zhang Liao, Li Dian, Yue Jin, led the Battle of Xiaoyao Ford. Zhang Liao and the defenders inflicted a devastating defeat on Sun Quan, which again is what this battle actually is, the one that we fight in, but it also represents a lot more. In the winter of 216, Cao Cao staged a military drill in Ye, during which he personally beat a war drum to direct his troops' movements and boost their morale. After the drill, he launched another campaign against Sun Quan and arrived in Juchao by spring in the following year. In late March or April of 217, he ordered his troops to make camp at the Hao Gorge on the west bank of the Yangtze. Sun Quan had constructed a dock and stationed defenses at Ruzhou. Both sides clashed at Ruzhou and the battle ended in an inconclusive result. Cao Cao withdrew in late April or May of 217, leaving behind Zhao Hodun, Cao Ren, Zhang Liao, and others to defend the area.
There are several bases located throughout the area. Use them to slowly proceed forward and attack the enemy formation. This is our best strategy. Construct a strong fortress in this land from which to attack Wu. That was the plan. Therefore, I cannot afford to lose this battle.
Here's one thing that's a little annoying is that when you play as the character, you don't get that character's cutscenes because you're likely in a different part of the map doing something else, you know? Like, that was super disappointing when we were playing as Huang Gai. Because his biggest moment is at the Battle of Red Cliff, where
won't be denied next time.
Where he launches the fire attack. And we don't even get that cutscene in his own, like, story. You get that in everyone else's.
A smaller force defeating a much larger army. That is the beauty of strategy. Wu must have thought they would win that battle, and are surely disappointed. We probably won't be hearing from them for a while. Now we must turn our attention to Liu Bei. But we won't be able to do anything until we've allowed some time for our current wounds to heal. I emerged victorious from the Battle of Hefei. Afterward, the land split into 3 divisions between myself, Sun Quan, and Liu Bei, with each of us struggling to gain the advantage. But everyone must die sooner or later. The only other person I deemed a hero of the land, Liu Bei, has already left this world, leaving behind Zhuge Liang to govern things in his place.
Alright, so it looks like we're skipping way ahead into possible Cao Cao even shouldn't be alive territory. But, you know, at the same time as the Battle of Xiaoyao Ford, there was a campaign against Zhang Lu in Hanzhong Commandery, in which, you know, Cao Cao would go ahead and win that. After taking control of the commandery, Cao Cao would made some administrative changes to the commandery, such as rewarding boundaries and appointing some administrators to govern the newly formed commanderies. In late 215, Zhang Lu led his followers out of Bajong and voluntarily submitted to Cao Cao, who accepted his surrender and granted him a marquis title. Around the time, Liu Bei had recently seized control of Yi province from his governor, Liu Zhang. About a month later, after Zhang Lu's surrender, Cao Cao left Nanjing County and headed back to Ye to guard Hanzhong. After that was a war against Liu Bei in Hanzhong, which we know in the video game as the Battle of Mount Dingjun, but that was another long-going, series of battles and wars between 217 and 219. But that is where the Battle of Mount Dingjun happens. Liu Bei's general Huang Zhong kills Zhao Hoyuan. In April 219, Cao Cao led his forces from Yangping Pass toward Hanzhong via Jie Valley. Liu Bei made use of the geographical advantage, mountainous terrain, to hold off Cao Cao. That July, Cao Cao withdrew back to Chang'an.
Shu is nothing without Liu Bei, and I shall soon put an end to it personally. It is the least I can do for Liu Bei, who I knew from the dawn of this age of chaos.
My lord, please leave this battle to me. We will resist the enemy attack and strike at them when the opportunity arises. Shu will be obliterated in no time.
Is this the Battle of Wuzhang Plains?
This attack is as if Zhuge Liang is worried about something. Perhaps he does not have much longer to live. Could not have asked for a better gift from the heavens.
So it is a little disappointing that, like with the Sun Jian storyline where we had 8 missions, a lot of them were he was already supposed to be dead for them. Especially here for Cao Cao, We could have filled in with the Battle of Tong Pass, with the Battle of Mount Dingjun, and let it end there, because eventually Cao Cao does pass away, especially after the Battle of Fang Castle. Battle of Fang Castle, we all know and love that battle. Cao Cao, his general Cao Ren held off Guan Yu for a long time, even through the floods and all that, and although Cao Cao was not there personally, that was a victory for Cao Cao's forces. After that, he would die in the year 220. Cao Cao died on 15th of March 220 in Luoyang at the age of 66. He was granted the posthumous title King Wu by Emperor Jian. His will instructed that he be buried near Jimen Bao's tomb in Ye without gold and jade treasures, and that his subjects on duty at the frontier were to stay in their posts and not attend the funeral, as, in his own words, the country is still unstable. He was buried on the 11th of April 220 in the Gaoling, the High Mausoleum. In December 220 or early January 221, Cao Pi would then force Emperor Jian to abdicate the throne in his favor. He granted his father the posthumous title Emperor Wu, and a temple name Taizu, Grand Ancestor. On the 27th of December 2009, the Henan Provincial Cultural Heritage Bureau reported the discovery of Cao Cao's tomb in Jiaguozhui village. The tomb, covering an area of 740 square meters, was discovered in December 2008 when workers at a nearby kiln were digging for mud to make bricks. Its discovery was not reported, and the local authorities knew of it only when they seized a stone tablet carrying the inscription King Wu of Wei, which was Cao Cao's posthumous title, from grave robbers who claimed to have stolen it from the tomb. Over the following year, archaeologists recovered more than 250 relics from the tomb, the remains of 3 persons, a man in his 60s, a woman in her 50s, and another woman in her 20s. They were believed to be one of Cao Cao's wives and one of his servants. Since the discovery of the tomb, there have been many skeptics and experts who point out problems with it and raised doubts about its authenticity. In January 2010, the State Administration of Cultural Heritage legally endorsed the initial results from research conducted throughout 2009, suggesting that the tomb was indeed Cao Cao's. However, in August 2010, 23 experts and scholars presented evidence at a forum held in Suzhou to argue that the findings and the artifacts of the tomb were fake. In September 2010, an article published in an archaeology magazine claimed that the tomb and the adjacent one actually belonged to Cao Huan, a grandson of Cao Cao, and his father, Cao Yu. In 2010, the tomb became part of the 5th batch of major historical cultural sites protected at a national level in China, and a museum was opened at the site in April of 2023. That's pretty cool, would you look at that? So that's whether or not that is Cao Cao's tomb or not, you can go and visit it, which is pretty interesting. But obviously the Battle of Wuzhang Plains, and I assume we're going to do the Battle of Fan Castle after this, Cao Cao was obviously not alive for, so let's just get right through them.
There is no need to concern ourselves over Shu. We simply must hold out and wait until the enemy begins to collapse from fatigue.
They just keep coming, rambling on about virtue. I can't put up with this much longer.
Yes, but it won't last. Soon Zhuge Liang will perish, and Shu will fall.
And when they do, the land is ours, and the chaos will finally come to an end. Everyone, you must not lose hope. In this battle, victory will be ours.
Liu Bei is dead, and Zhuge Liang too will perish at any moment. With them gone, you have almost no enemies left. Unless...
Someone new arises to challenge me? Let them try. I'll destroy anyone who stands in my way.
It's actually funny that I've never seen that before, the Shu army challenging Sima Yi, because that does happen in real life. If you remember me saying that in Sima Yi's storyline, they do challenge and gawk and, you know, try to bait Sima Yi into a confrontation. And so in order to keep his soldiers' morales up, Sima Yi asks for permission from the imperial capital to go to battle, but, you know, he never intended on going to battle. He was just only doing that to keep up appearances, basically.
It is a simple task to defeat an army that is in a hurry. The Shu army and Zhuge Liang. It was the fate of their 2 stars to fall on the fields of the Wujiang Plains. And now, the fate of Wu and the Sun family lies within the hands of Wei as well. There is nothing left that we need fear. We simply need to make the necessary preparations and finish them off at our leisure.
Shu has fallen by my hand. Now, my only adversary in my quest to rule the land is the Sun family of Jiangdan. The Sun family. They have only grown larger and stronger throughout this chaos. Perhaps I underestimated the strength of the tiger's bloodline. However, the time for me to realize my ambition is close at hand. I shall not back down from the tiger. I shall face him. This shall be our final battle.
It appears that Wu thinks they have an opportunity to attack us while we are busy fighting with Shu. This is the perfect chance for us to destroy Wu. Their forces are merely taking a position. Wu considers this to be the final battle. Therefore, they will be coming at us with everything they have. We should defend the castle and attack once the enemy begins to show signs of fatigue. My lord, the land shall soon be yours.
This is an enormous castle, Father. To think that Wu has come this far.
Hold your tongue. This is all due to my oversight at Chibi. But this time, we'll hunt down and slay the entire Sun family.
I should have expected this from Wu. To cause this much trouble for our army. This truly was a fitting battle with which to sound the end of the Three Kingdoms era. With Shu and Wu both gone, there are none left to oppose Wei's ownership of the land. I think I might actually kind of miss them. Perhaps...
It was during the final days of the year 200 AD when the Han Dynasty saw its end. Its demise ushered in a new era of chaos, brought on by several regional lords vying to rule China. There were those who sought absolute power, as well as those who fought for justice, and some simply fought for the sake of their beliefs. Many would rise and fall in their attempts to dominate the land. Cao Cao was a master of both the literary and martial arts since he was a young boy. Both clever and charismatic, he would come to be known as a hero of chaos. The chaos in the land reached its peak after the defeat of the Yellow Turbans and Dong Zhuo. Cao Cao insisted that he must be the one to unify the land and began to mobilize his armies. Cao Cao had mustered a great force and was successful in defeating his nemesis, Yuan Shao. After taking control of Hubei, everything went exactly as he had planned. In 208 AD, Cao Cao took his armies south, for Sun Quan and Liu Bei had formed an alliance against him. However, the combined strategies of Zhou Yu and Zhuge Liang thwarted Cao Cao's advance, and his forces took a heavy toll. After a harrowing escape, Cao Cao would regroup and attack Shu, decimating Liu Bei's forces at the Wujiang Plains. He later repelled Wu's attack at Hefei with great success, thus making up for the humiliation he suffered at Chi-Bi. With the land finally united, the days of fighting have finished. However, this was not the end of Cao Cao's ambitions. He will continue to fight in order to further create a land worthy of this new era. These tales, long forgotten in the flows of time, are about the legends of which no one can recall.
There's a story about Cao Cao's death where he starts complaining about a splitting headache in his final days. His subjects recommend Hua Tuo, a physician with remarkable skills, to heal him. Hua Tuo diagnoses Cao Cao's illness to be a form of rheumatism in the skull. He suggests giving Cao Cao a dose of hashish, then splitting open his skull with a sharp axe to extract the pus within. Due to an earlier incident with another physician, Ji Ping, who attempted to poison him, Cao Cao is suspicious of any physician. He believes that Hua Tuo intends to kill him to avenge Guan Yu, so he orders the physician to be imprisoned. Hua Tuo dies a few days later in prison. Cao Cao dies from his illness not long later. That might just be a story within the Romance of the Three Kingdoms book. But Hua Tuo's biography mentions that Cao Cao had Hua Tuo executed when Hua Tuo refused to treat his chronic headaches. Cao Cao regretting killing Hua Tuo because his son Cao Chong died from illness, and he believed that Hua Tuo could have cured Cao Chong. Hua Tuo's biography does not specify the year of his death, but it is certain that he died before the year 208, the year in which Cao Chong died. Therefore, the story in the Sangguo Yanyi is entirely fictional. The Shiyu and the Cao Manzhuan provide more dramatic accounts of the events before Cao Cao's death. The Shiyu account states that Cao Cao wanted to build a palace in Luoyang, so he ordered a Zhuolong shrine to be demolished, but blood spilt out from a tree. The Cao Manzhuan account mentions that Cao Cao wanted a pear tree to be moved. When the workers uprooted the tree, blood split out from its roots, and the workers were shocked. Cao Cao heard about it and went there to take a closer look. He was disgusted and felt that it was an unlucky omen. He became ill after returning home. So, did Cao Cao die of a migraine? Was he cursed by a pear tree? Or was he just an old man at the age of 65 that had a stroke or something? Who knows? Hey, we unlocked Yuan Shao.
Destiny draws even closer. However, the real battle for the land has just begun. This land has already seen much chaos, but sometimes it is necessary to achieve peace.
And that is the story of Cao Cao. Again, it is frustrating that in this game they do take characters past their expiration dates, but they could have filled out some of these battles. Like I said, they could have had the Battle of Tong Gate, they could have had the Battle of Mount Dingjun, and then ended it with the Battle of Hefei, which could have represented, you know, the Battle of Ruzhou kind of thing. There is a lot more to Cao Cao than just the wars and everything. He was very much into poetry. He was also very frugal and modest in his daily life, showing no particular interest in aesthetic appeal. He only wore plain and simple clothes. When the folding screens and curtains in his house were damaged, he simply had them mended instead of replaced. He relied only on mattresses and blankets for warmth and had no decorative ornaments in his home. When he met guests, he wore a simple hat and clothes made of raw silk and had a pouch containing a handkerchief and other small items attached to his belt. Outside of his work life, Cao Cao was known to behave in a frivolous and carefree manner. When he chatted with people, he spoke casually, occasionally poked fun at others, and shared everything on his mind. Once, during a meal, he was so amused that he laughed until he knocked his head into the dishes and soiled his face and clothing. Fucking laughing so hard he smashes his face into his bowl of noodles. But there is a lot more to Cao Cao that we didn't cover, and I mean, there's a lot documented about him too, but we will move on. I am gonna go to the bathroom as we go into our next character. It is gonna be Liu Bei.